Okay, Nick and Andy, it's preview time. Man City against Chelsea. Huge game coming up at the Etihad this weekend. On paper, this should be a fun one because I have no idea who the favourite is to win this game. Usually, I'd say Man City in this scenario and situation, but given the midweek defeat they had at PSG, the way their season's going, especially against the elite and the big six in the Premier League, and Chelsea's, penchant for dominating games but not putting teams away. It's hard to call, right, Nick? I think. What are your general thoughts on this? Because again, I've just talked myself around in a circle there to saying I have no idea what's going to happen in this game, and that's brilliant if you're a neutral.
It is. It's great. I do know what's going to happen, though. In a certain extent, there's going to be goals.
Yes.
Erling Haaland is maybe one time in his last 5 appearances hasn't scored. He scored against PSG. He's getting into places. He's looking a proper unit, if you will. But on the other side, I watched Chelsea the last couple of games, and I really think they understand their jobs. And for them, it is a matter of finishing their chances. And also some problems perhaps at the back. They've had some injuries. They've got talented guys back there, but you need consistency when going up against an Erling Haaland. And that's one of the things that is kind of on my mind is anybody going to be able to stop anybody else in this game?
Yeah, Andy, I mean, Chelsea defensively, the likes of Fofana going down with injury, obviously Colwell going in and out. Chalobah came in and did great against Wolves. Yeah. So they, like Nick said, they have talent there. It's more about all season long, either Robert Sanchez, like he did in the last game, or somebody else will just drop a bit of a clanger, and then that will undo all their good work in midfield and creating chances, and just haven't been clinical enough, I guess, for Chelsea. Yeah. But what's your thoughts on this game? And I guess for Man City, it's almost at the moment, it's like, all right, you hammer Ipswich, you go on a decent run in the Premier League, score a load of goals. Yeah. It's almost like one step forward, 2 steps back almost with the defeat of PSG and those collapses against Brentford and other teams recently. You can't quite get going consistently for City, right?
Yeah, that's life at the top of the world. I guess you're going to get everybody's best shot every single time out, and especially when you're in the kind of moment that City are in, everybody's going to look at that and say, "Well, they did it. Let's go do it too." And I think they've had a bit of a tidal wave that has just kind of washed over them a little bit this season, and it's other clubs getting the confidence to have a go at City, understanding this is probably a 1, maybe 2 year kind of opportunity that they're going to get. But for Chelsea, they are mistake prone defensively. I think they're missing Romeo Lavia more than anything.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not it is for what he does in possession. And he's the one of the deep midfielders that really progresses the ball up the field and gets it to Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer doesn't have to come all the way deep to get it. So I think they're missing him there, but protecting that back line for all the energy and industry that Moises Caicedo is, he's not the most positionally aware and the organizer of that midfield and defense from in front. And Lavia just does that job to such an incredible level that as soon as he went out right around Christmas time, wasn't it? And he hasn't been back since. Yeah. Their form, not the form, the results have been okay, but the performances and the dominance that we were starting to see from them when they got into the title race for about 24 hours, that completely disappeared. And it went with Lavia. He is an incredible player and kind of an afterthought given all of the money that they've spent in the last couple of years.
Yeah. As a Southampton fan, I think I told you guys at the time, Van Dijk number 1, Lavia number 2 in terms of the players I saw play for Saints and the quality. And saying a lot given Mane and others that were there over the years. But yeah, his potential is huge. Just needs to stay fit, and you're spot on with that. I think he just plugs so many gaps and just helps Chelsea keep control of games. And I think we've seen that in recent games, like Nick mentioned, that probably for like 15 or 20 minutes in each game, even when they won against Wolves, they've just looked a little bit off it and given up chances and can't quite sustain it. And if you do that against Man City, even as bad as things have been for them at times this season, they are going to punish you. Haaland, De Bruyne, etc., have shown that in recent weeks that they will make the most of any mistakes that are handed to them on a plate. So, Nick, I mean, top 4, who is most likely to finish in the top 4? Because at the moment, Chelsea are 2 points ahead of City going into this game. I mean, nice, easy question for you there, mate. But at the start of the season when these two teams met and City won pretty comfortably at Chelsea, but Chelsea gave them a good game. I think if you'd have said to any Chelsea fan, right, when you play them in the return game in January, you'll be 2 points ahead of Man City in the table, they would have said, yeah, I'll take that, definitely. So Chelsea are in a good position. City are not, but they're still there, right? City are still, have to feel, given all of their problems, they are still probably going to finish in the top 4 this season.
I like, by the way, what Pep Guardiola is lining us up for the rest of the year. He's basically saying we're going to outscore you, because everything you said about Romeo Lavia is Rodri. And that's why I think this game is going to be great. There's no cover for the back line. There's, this is the progression is going to come from different measures and different means. I mean, maybe KDB dropping back for City, but I have a hard time. I want to tell you that both of these teams are going to be in the top 4, but this is what we're talking about when we talk about Arsenal needing to buy center forward or Newcastle wanting to maybe splash money on a right wing. It's going to be there for somebody. And if you made me pick, I would still pick City. I feel like I just kind of want to go down with the ship here and say they've added Marmoush and they're going to figure out a way to win enough 4-2 games. But we saw it with Brentford. We saw it with PSG. They can't do what we praised Liverpool for on this show last time we talked, which is we're ahead and we're going to Calcio this. we are gonna possess it, and you are not going to have it. So good luck scoring without the ball. Neither of these teams looks likely to do that at the moment. And I mean, sign up for this game. If you're going to introduce somebody to the Premier League, we talk about this a couple times a year. It's, hey, I've been trying to get you into this game. Tune in this week.
Yeah, and the most interesting thing to me as well about these two teams, obviously, Maresca, assistant under Guardiola at Man City. They know each other so well tactically, but I think both of them have been forced this season to go away from their general philosophy. I think if we look at like a general trend across the Premier League, possession-based teams are struggling across the board that are high pressing. If you look at Newcastle, Villa, Bournemouth, Nottingham Forest, these teams that are quick on the counter, win the ball back quickly, and a couple of passes are in. Yep. They're forced to kind of change their style a little bit. And I think probably if you watch this game compared to the game on the opening weekend of the season, you can probably see a lot of differences in both of these teams and how they've had to adapt. And I think Maresca's probably done a better job at that in terms of Chelsea. When you watch them, a lot of the time it isn't possession for possession's sake. Obviously, City have been in that under Guardiola for many years, and lots of these players are very used to playing that certain system. But I actually really like what Maresca's done to tweak things at Chelsea and use their wide players and Jackson and the strengths they have to really be, again, more consistent than we all thought they would be throughout this season. So, Andy, given all that tactical chat and how, close they are in terms of their philosophy and how they don't have holding midfielders, so it should be a goal fest. What are you going for in your score prediction, mate?
I think Nick was onto something with the 4-2 there. There are going to be goals, and both managers, by the way, are probably going to hate this game because there's going to be no control for either side. And these are guys that and Nick used the word control games, possession-based. It's everything that Guardiola and all of his proteges have, seemingly been once they've become managers themselves. And so, it's going to be wide open. I'll go 4-2, and I'll just say City. I'll steal Nick's prediction straight up. But it is the most likely thing. And I think at this point of the season, especially, whether they're in the title race or not, this is when City always turn it on. This is when City always figure it out, and they always seem to finish strong. They've not had to do it without Rodri. They've not had to do it in the situation that they're in. That, to me, is one of maybe the most interesting kind of subplot of the final stretch of the season is, are City going to be able to do that again, just in with a completely different narrative around them?
Nick, I mean, City have won, 3 of the last 5 unbeaten in that stretch in the Premier League. So there is some signs of, getting back on track. What are you going for prediction-wise? I'm going to let you go first because I really can't figure it out. I've got a couple of different score lines in my head.
So here's the thing. I actually think there's going to be some real bite to this game. We know Lavia is not available, but Sancho and Palmer, both Man City youngsters, who are potentially going to be fired up to affect this game. By the way, what if Lavia was still at Man City right now? But that's another story. I think it's going to be a fight the whole way. But I do think City is going to go on top. And for the sake of variation, I will say 3-2.
I was going to say that, but I just think this is a draw written all over it in terms of they will cancel each other out. I think the midfield issues, the defensive issues for Chelsea, the fact that City coming off the back of that disappointment at PSG, they have Arsenal after this, they have that decider in the Champions League coming up. I just think there's a lot going on at City right now. And I could see Chelsea being ahead and City coming back. I was going to go 2-2, but let's go full on chaos. 3-3 is my score prediction for this weekend. And like Nick said earlier, if you're new to the Premier League or want to introduce somebody, this is the game you've got to sit down and watch this weekend. So head over to Pro Soccer Talk on NBCSports.com for all the latest on Man City, Chelsea, how to watch info, stream link, prediction, team news. We'll have you covered before, during, and after this game. Should be a beauty as both teams aim to cement their status as a top 4 team. And don't forget, 5th place might be good enough this season as well for a Champions League spot. So I'm sure both of these teams are hoping for that. But thanks, Nick. Thanks, Andy, for joining me. Really appreciate it. Thanks, everyone, for watching. And we'll speak to you all very soon. Cheers, guys.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host of NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And if you want even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock.